Alright, so we got a Jayco in there. A good sized fifth wheel. We're going to walk around. We're going to take a look at it. We're going to go see what's up with it. Got some other stuff we're doing here. Got a Sunseeker we're working on. Let's see what that's all about. So we got all this scaffolding that wraps all around. Nice stairs that come up. You know, you work. You got to be able to stay with it and not be climbing up and down ladders and stuff. I would highly recommend you not bring to a shop that doesn't have scaffolding and proper stuff to do a roof. Because they don't have proper equipment. They say they're a roof company, or why would they not? It's part of the trade. You need to have it. So this is our Jayco. Looks like you got some patching here. If you have one of these type of vents, okay, that's a plumbing vent. If you have one of those, up inside here, right in there, make sure that's sealed. And in there, if there's a screw right here and right here, water will get in and it'll start rotting that out. We'll see if that's the case. This seems pretty sound, so I don't know how bad it is, but you can see they've just been slobbering more on this type of more Dicor. I don't know what brand it may not be actually Dicor. I know there's a couple other companies that jumped on that bandwagon for that self-leveling, but that's all they do is just slobber this. You can see they've done it a few times. So you got one color here, you got that color there, and then this other one. So you go from gray to kind of light gray and then white. So looks like they've been keep going around and around these vents. That's once we're done with the roof, you don't have to do it. It's done. This will all be heat welded together. Check all this on your coach. You want to check that. That looks like butyl coming up. That's what that looks like. Doesn't look like it's sealed, and that's important. But yeah, that's butyl. See how it's coming up? Yeah, that is butyl. So butyl, we don't use it, but butyl, the UV light will sit on, it'll dry it all out. So look at this screw right here. You can tell they're kind of putting them in like on angles instead of putting them in straight. But so we got that one. We got this one here. And then we're probably going to end up putting another piece here instead of rolling the whole roof all one piece, because this transition is pretty hard, and it also has camber, so it's going this way and it's going this way. And the problem with the commercial grade roofing is that it will lay two-dimensionally. This is real thin, so that's why it'll stay. You know, it'll do this, but not ours. It's not going to do that. It's a lot thicker, and it's got a lot more strength to it as well. So you can see they also slobbered a whole bunch on here. So we're going to get this thing opened up. See, it's got a foam gasket up underneath there. So when we do this, when we do the roof system, we're going to have it up on curbs, and those curbs are going to elevate. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, it's going to elevate this up. It'll elevate the vents up. It'll elevate everything up. It gets it out of basically the roof line, and it minimizes erosion effect. That's the whole idea. That's how a flat roof functions. You can go online and you can do a search for commercial flat roof images. Go to images, and you're going to see air conditioners, you're going to see vents or skylight vents. You're going to see all that elevated up off the roof line, sitting on a box. And in that box on the commercial roof industry, that's known as a curb. So now you get all this water coming in, and you're going to get dirt, pollen, debris, all sorts of debris, and then it'll dry out that gasket, and then you start getting these leaks, and they're chronic. That's the thing. It's not like you go, whoa, hey, there's a big leak there. You're not going to see it. It's going to start real slow. So I'm looking at this one here. I'm going to see if I can zoom up on it, see if it'll let me. I'm looking at this crack right here. Come on, steady out. There we go. See it right there? That gasket's already compromised. So, and it's lifted up on there. So we have to make sure, you know, we'll end up replacing it. And it looks like, as well, if you look at the gasket, if you ever put one of these on, we'll come back. Let me come back and show you. So over here, see how thick that gasket is? Then it thins out. Somebody didn't put this gasket in properly. So you should just torque them down, and they should be replaced, from what I understand, every 2 years. So here's some tips for you on that. And then Let's see what else we got to show you. I got some. This is another common problem. They take the corner mold and they bend it up and they put it on here. This, I don't think this coach is that old, but a lot of times what will happen is water will get up under here and it'll start rotting out these corners because this is where all the water is cooling down. So we're going to end up, and they pulled this one over. Usually I see a strip on the cap here, but anyhow, we're going to end up putting a gutter on here. Since I have this, I'll just take it off. We'll put a gutter and get all that water so it's not running down the coach. Let's see what else we got going around. So you can tell we wrapped everything. That's the way we do our work. We don't want to get any trash on anybody's coach. So we wrap everything. It's all got full wrap all the way around it. So same thing with this air conditioner. And look, that gasket's really seen better days. But I don't know if you can see some of that. Probably not. I'll see if I get a little closer. But there's a whole bunch of dirt up underneath there. That's what dries out the. That's what dries out the gasket. So. All right. Let me go. We got a couple more patches. Let me sneak by you, my friend. Yep. On here. On here. So we'll get all this stuff off. We'll clean it all up, and we shall show you what's up underneath it. But again, butyl, they didn't even seal this, they just put butyl on. They put it on there and bam, that's it. They're getting cheaper and cheaper every year. And people say, oh, I'm going to buy a new one, I'm going to buy, all you're getting is better wallpaper in curtains. I'm not joking. Flooring, that's it. They're built the same, they're built the exact same way as all the other ones. If anything, the older ones were built better. They at least put some sort of attention to them, and I'm willing to bet that this does have OSB under it, but I know it's not glued down. They don't glue them down. I'd be surprised. If it is, I'll show it, but they usually, there's almost never. Maybe I've come across maybe one, I think it was. One? Yeah. Since I've been doing this, one of them has been glued down. I think it was a Cyclone or something. It was, they glued it down. They did a good job on it, but all the other ones, I don't know. They probably fired the guy who did it. Well, what are you doing? Wasting all that time, money, and extra adhesive? Were you crazy? Don't glue them down. That'll be fine. Got fired for doing quality work. You know, I'm sure there's somebody over those plants that want to do a good job. Probably get disgusted with what they put out and how short-handed they are. They run them like dogs, from what I hear. But anyhow, we're going to get this all squared away, and we'll show you our progress. We obviously took the roofing off, got the material off, then this decking is only 3/8. Then I'm looking at, like, they got the screws up through here, but on this truss right here, they got one here and here and here, and then there's none back there. So I guess they just reach whatever they can, and then they skip all that. It's not glued down. This has a, I'll probably show you up here. This is their way of protecting the joint. That's drywall, tape, mesh. But they've got basically this barrier in here. It's just foil. So we may just cut it and drop it down, but it doesn't really, you can't glue the decking down with this on there. Not unless you glue this, not unless you glue this down to the truss. Then you could glue the decking to that, but don't get all that glued. So I think the purpose is to try to reflect some UV light. Some people say it's a sound barrier. I've had a lot of people say a lot of things about it, and I'm sure I'll get more opinions and comments on it as well. So, but more than likely we're going to cut it and just drop it down in the bay. It to me is useless. So they do make a radiant barrier sheathing to reflect UV light. They do make that, and it works pretty well. But in order for it to work, you have to have a cavity, basically a cavity or a blank, if you will, where the insulation isn't up against the roof deck. If it's up against there, then it's not that efficient. That's going by LP Tech and Solar Board. Those are a couple of manufacturers that make radiant barrier sheathing. So it wouldn't serve any purpose if it doesn't have that. But again, according to them. So then you can see they just stapled the edge, did all that. So we're gonna, obviously we got all of it up. The decking in itself doesn't look terrible at all, but we're gonna replace it with a 1/2 inch. That's what we're gonna do. beef it up a little bit. And other than that, I don't see anything else. Let me see if I'll walk around the other way. Coming through, coming through, coming through. Camera guy coming through. Nope. Coming through, coming through. Nope. You got a pretty good transition here. They had to fill this, which is common, but on our roofing, when we go to put this on, this has a pretty good drop off. We're not going to be able to put that on in one piece. That'll come over like this. So I'll have all of this, the main roof, I'll have that done in one piece. I'm pretty sure. I got to check back there. But this part, I definitely have to put another piece. Now weld them together. Chances are, I may end up doing the same thing down here where this drops off. Because this angle on this camber, when you start going down there, it's not nearly as sharp as it is. This has a little more aggressive camber. The roofing that we use, it's a structured membrane. It's not this cheap stuff. This cheap stuff will lay down, as you can see. It has no strength to it. The structured membrane, it really wants to be two-dimensional. So you pretty much already have that right here, this way and that way. Okay, then you start coming up here and you start twisting it. You end up with, like, the roofing will want to pucker up. And it's just kind of a bugger to try to get it. And usually it's just better to run it, weld another piece down, because then you can get everything to fold a little better. So, and you know, all that said, we still may have a couple of little wrinkles possibly up in this radius area. We did the best we can to get it there. The good part on this one is it doesn't really have that much of a shoulder here. It's just going to have a little bit, but we don't have anything on the edge here. I think there was probably some tape on here. I'm pretty sure that's all there was just tape. So, yep, here it is right here. It was just duct tape. So the other part that's really bad here is the piece on the coach itself, right here. The issue that I have with that is that's not strong enough. So when this coach kind of racks and flexes, it will rub the roofing like this, and then these little splinters and everything will start poking holes through the roof. And we're going to put on a metal shoulder. I fabricate all those up. We'll put a metal one on there, so it'll protect that edge really well. But that's all this is. It's just Gorilla Tape or duct. It doesn't even look like it may even be Gorilla Tape. It looks like it's Gorilla Tape's usually pretty strong. This just looks like it's some low-budget duct tape, more likely what it is. So that's it. So I don't endorse this stuff at all. There you go. But that's the problem. You can see also they didn't cut the siding so well right there. Really try to have it up a little higher. But when we put our piece on there, it's going to drop down to about here. So when we put our gutter on, the gutter is going to pinch it, so it'll be nice and tight. But okay, well, let us get the rest of the sheathing off. We're, you know, looking at this, like you said, there's no damage on the sheathing, so I'm sure there's no damage on the rest of the underneath it. I'm not looking for any. So, you know, there may be possibly a couple of split trusses from the way they're firing all these screws in here and this side. So on the edges there, they got a lot of screws in there. I don't know why they just didn't continue with staples, because those trusses are really narrow and and they're thin, so you do risk splitting them. So we'll find out when we take it off. If so, we may have a couple of repairs. So this type of air conditioner, so a rooftop mount, they're all rooftop air conditioners, the ones we took off here. Some of them you can go inside and you can bolt it from the inside. This one you literally have to screw it to the roof. That's how it gets mounted. So when they put it down, they put the foam gasket on there and they screwed it right to the roof. And you can see right there, it doesn't work. They just slobber some self-leveling on there. And that's what I really stress to a lot of people. The industry has been just really duping you. You don't need to be putting self-leveling on it all the time. You don't need to be doing that nonsense. When you put a good roof on it, you don't do it on a commercial roof. So if you want to keep going around with self-leveling, that's just a lot of work. It really is. It's a lot of work. So keep this in mind though. Why are they making these roofs like this when on their factory, I'll bet they have a real commercial roof with curbs, all right, with proper flashing and counter flashing. They have it on their building, I'm sure of it. right? So then why are they just slapping this on? I'm sure somebody has gone up there, or when they had it re-roofed at some point or built, somebody looked at those plans and went, oh yeah, that roof looks pretty good, and approved it. So then why are they not doing it on their coaches? None of them do it. It's just a way for them to stay in your pocket. These things will fall apart the way they're put together, and they'll just stay in your wallet. That die core is just, it's their cash cow. And I call it die crap. It is. It's just, why is a product only lasting a few months? It's designed to be outside, designed for the elements, supposedly. Then why is it failing every few months? You have to go back and put it on. They know it fails because they had to have it tested. They had it tested through the American Testing and Standard Materials. That's called ATSM. Okay, well, excuse me, ASTM. They had it tested, and they know the parameters of it. They know what tolerances it has and how long it'll last, but yet they do not go and reformulate it because whatever, I think it's about $15 a tube now. And you figure how many coaches are out here? How many coaches are out here that are going to need maybe, what, 5, 6 tubes to do their coach? That's a lot. And now you do that every few months, times the amount of coaches that are out there. Yeah, that's a cash cow. That is definitely a cash cow. I'm not a proponent of die core at all, or any of those lap sealants. I think there's a couple other brands out there as well. But to me, they're all the same. You shouldn't have to be doing that. And a lot of them are compatible with different things. That's why you see them failing, and you have to keep going over them. If you have one that's siliconized, that's the worst one to put on your roof. I promise you, it's the worst one, because you will not get anything else to stick to it when you go back later to try to put yet another layer on there, you know. And I joke with people and they say the only ones that are putting more on is a moron. I mean, there's something wrong with that system. But on a commercial end, it would be cost prohibitive to go and re-caulk every other plumbing, everything around on a commercial roof. It would be cost prohibitive to do that every few months. They'd be, no. And that's why these roof systems, you know, fail, because they don't care if it fails. They're hoping it fails, so you go buy a new one. You get disgusted with it. And the roofs are expensive to put on. There's a lot of work to them if you do them right, the way we do them. But I can't kick this out. I can't kick this out and just throw a new roof on it and slap it back together and kick it down the road in a couple of days. It's going to take me a week to put this on. So I got to peel all this up. We inspect everything. We're going to inspect all the wires. I'm going to take all the insulation out. I'm going to check everything. I want to make sure it is sound. I want to check those trunk lines. So if you've watched some of my other videos, you know what I'm talking about. But for those that haven't, you'll see here in the next couple of clips. All right, all the decking is off. All the insulation is out. You can see that. Now what we do is we're going to check these trunk lines. So something I don't really care for, the design of this. One, a lot of people, and I read some posts, but see that gap under here? That's a big size gap. That's why the ceilings start dropping, or contribute to why they don't drop. They don't glue them all. They glue a couple here and there. They only do what they have to do to actually get it to look like it's assembled so they can sell it. That's it. Get it built, get it out, get it sold. That is the motto. So the other thing I don't like, look at the way these trusses are. It's just 2-inch staples going through the 3/4 stock into here. That's it. You can see, just, I don't like that. This one too, they're all starting to pull. So, and a lot of people think that, you know, just a little tap like that, you can see that they're already coming apart. So we're gonna fix that. But a lot of people think that you're supposed to have these coaches flex. They need to flex. You wanna try to stifle that flex. If this thing flexes as much as everybody says you need to have them flex, you're gonna have that energy. It's gotta go somewhere. Where does it go? It goes on the fasteners, either the screws or the staples. That loosens up. When that loosens up, what else do you think loosens up? Caulking. You know, all your sealants, they start coming apart. And then you start getting leaks. Start getting leaks that you don't know about, now you're getting rot in there. So that's a fallacy. The RV industry has been really misleading people for a long, long time. They want you to think they're supposed to have flex. Not supposed to. They want you to think you don't need to glue the roof deck down. You have to. You know, everything they do is just for their benefit. So when people pipe up and say, hey, oh, no, you're supposed to, you know. And then, you know, just like this lap sealant, that die crap you put on. Oh, yeah, we got a problem. They create a problem. Doesn't last. Their solution, put more on it. So they might as well run for government office. So now as we're going all through here, Gonna inspect all these trunk lines. Gonna inspect like that tape right there. That's one. So some of the designs I don't really understand, but look at the way this all, they literally had to cut the trunk line there, the duct line, you had the pipe come up, and then they just taped all that. So that looks suspicious to me already. So I'm gonna obviously take a look at that. Here's, let's see, there's another one down here. Ah, there we are. Look at the size of that hole. That is a serious gap. It's all separated. So how do you fix this? So we'll say, and you know, when I first showed the roof deck looked pretty good. You'd go around, bang on it. Everything seems fine. Everything seems fine. Yeah, let's spray over this roof. You spray over this roof, how are you going to fix that? How do you fix it? You got to tear the roof up or the ceiling out. One or the other. Something's going to happen. I don't know what the deal is with all that. Well, I don't know what that is from. But it's kind of weird that it's just right there. Unless it was from when they were installing the actual trunk line. That's possible. Well, I look for stuff like that. I want to make sure there's no holes. Look at this wire sitting on here. Watch this. Hey, it digs a hole in it. And then you get a hole. You have a hole over here. So all your air is coming up into this attic area, okay? That foil right there, that's going to keep all everything in there, the foil that they had on there. So let's see what else we got. So this is what I'm doing. I'm just going around making sure everything is okay. That's all I'm trying to do. Make sure I'm satisfied that everything is fine. This is why we take the time to open up these the coaches. We open them all up, check everything. You don't want to do it after the fact, but do it right, because they don't trust that they put it together properly. Don't do that. They're going to mislead you. So don't ever trust anything from what an RV center or manufacturer tells you. I have got there's over probably close to 300 videos on YouTube going over the same stuff like that for years. Nothing's changed, and there's no difference in this Jayco than there is in a Forest River or any other fifth wheel that I've worked on. They're all pretty much the same. So like I said, we're going to get going, make these repairs, and then we'll show you, see what's up with these wires. Like I said, I'll check all that, and like I said, all the tape. All right, cool. All right, so I drilled a hole, put a screw in there, and I'm gonna put adhesive in all these joints right here. So the problem is this is real thin. You definitely need a pilot hole that. And then you want to use a narrow head, real small finish screw. Because if not, you'll just tear it all out. So this is the passenger side, and this one's okay, but most all the other ones, they got a really wide gap in there. You can see the way they put their trusses together, right? Didn't really work out so well. So compared to the other side, it was a little tighter. It just needed to be glued. So I think the trusses might have been kind of offset a little bit. But what I'm concerned about, and that's why I'm taking my time, I'm trying to sight this whole thing so it doesn't lean in. And then when I load this, I'm loading the whole thing. So the product that I'm using is it's an adhesive. So once this stuff, you don't even really need the screw by the time I'm done. This is probably going to be stronger than the screw. Like, you'll tear all the grain apart by the time that stuff sets up. So what I'm doing is just see if I can. I'm actually trying to push it all down inside. So I can get it down inside there. See how I got it dropped down a little bit? I want to make sure they're glued in place. This will still allow, like, I know there's going to be movement on this. This will allow it to flex, to at least move a little bit. So, I mean, you're never going to stifle it to the point where it's not going to move, I mean, there's going to be expansion and contraction and so forth, but you want to be able to get the adhesive to bond it all together, so when there is movement, things aren't coming apart. That's the whole idea. You want to make sure it's not coming apart, and that it'll still stay together, but it'll still have that little bit of movement. That's why we glue the roof decks down too. That's the same reason why we do that, because you want to, you know, again, if you don't, all that energy from the flexing, it's got to go somewhere. Where's it going to go? It's going to go to the fasteners. Like I said, the fasteners will loosen up. So I'm going to keep loading all these all the way down. Then on this one, this was pretty high, so by the time I put the screw in, I won't have enough bite. So I just came in from the backside just to hold it in place, like I said, so that adhesive will cure out. But this stuff is super, super strong. This is all commercial stuff. We don't use any RV stuff here at all. Nothing. You know, anything that says RV on it, I would strongly recommend you not use it. There's like lap sealants. Dicor especially is made by Carlisle Syntec. It's made under the name of Bright Ply. That's what it is. And ironically, the membrane that I'm using is Carlisle, but it is a commercial membrane. The other stuff is low budget. So they make that for Dicor. Just throw it on. But that said, Carlisle makes a lap sealant for rubber. You can just go buy Carlisle lap sealant. It's used for commercial applications, so it'll be better than that die crap stuff that they market. So we went along and got some more adhesive underneath all these panels. We're just doing them all. You know, it doesn't take much, but that's what he's doing now. He got the edges right here, and then he's jumped up and he's going to get the other ones. You know, it won't take but a second to do it. Then it just keeps it nice and tight. But these panels are just prone to drop. So we don't want that. We want to take care of all this. Again, this is why we do not spray a roof. I'm not really an RV guy. My background, I'm a commercial general contractor by trade. And I've had those machines. I've had recovery machines for like big metal roofs and, you know, those type things. And I've had roll foamers for standing seam metal. I've had all the machines. So buying the machine doesn't scare me. It's not like it's an expense that I wouldn't want to take on. I just don't think it's the right way to go about putting a roof on when you don't know what's underneath this, especially knowing how many consistent problems they all seem to have. They all seem to have issues with trunk lines. And on this one, it's a little different with the wires, but a lot of them, the wires will come out, and you can see on my other videos, they may come out from the wall in the corner here. They come through with what's called a ferrule, and that ferrule is sharp, and I've shown that on other videos. But this one, they all come up, there's a chase up there, and they come out through the plumbing up there. That's where I showed you where that plumbing was all barked out. That's where all the wires come. So this is a little different, but again, this is one of the other reasons we take it off. So we got the AC ducts, we got the wires, and the other thing is the roof decks are not glued down, and that is really, really important. That's why I don't advise spraying it down. Again, if it worked, I'd say sure, but you say you know, we'll say you put the expense to it. You know, yeah, I'm gonna have it sprayed. You know, because they are cheaper than what we do. I'm sure they are, but they're obviously quicker. To me, it's a quick fix. And those sprays, they're not a membrane, they're considered a coating. But we'll say you go ahead and you do it. Now, no one's ever checked underneath. Now you've got compromised wires. Now you've got ductwork that's compromised. How are you going to fix all that? How are you going to fix all that afterwards? You're either going to rip the roof up, or you're going to take the ceiling out. So, you know, we'll say, you know, you may have a joint that'll break right there. And maybe you put an endoscope in there and you find it, there it is, and you do the work right there. Well, you may have other issues where the wires are rubbing, you know, like I showed you up there on the other one where I showed you, where the wires will rub and make a gouge in it, right? So you want to get all that squared away. How many times are you going to tear your ceiling apart to get all that squared away? Again, they don't care. The whole motto in the RV industry is get it built, get it out, get it sold. No matter what they tell you, when you're buying one, I promise you they're lying to you. They're not quality built. They're not any better than the other guy down the road. They're all the same, you know, and you can see just what I showed you here with the trusses, you know, and again, what we're doing, you can see that. You're not going to be able to do that with a spray application. The other thing the spray application doesn't do is it does not elevate the curbs, the air conditioners. It doesn't elevate it off the roof line, and that is important. You can do your own search, go online and type in commercial roof images, and then, you know, you got your tabs on the top for all, and then I think there's images, like there's that, and then there's shopping, and whatever. So you click on images and you'll see air conditioners, you'll see vents, you'll see skylights, you'll see them all elevated up on a box. That box is called a curb. That's how a flat roof functions. So, you know, this is just a quick fix. That's all it is. It's just a quick fix just to get it out the door. 365, you own it at 366. And, you know, if anything comes up, it starts popping, yeah, that's all on you. You're not going to get them to take care of it. They're going to say, hey, your warranty's up. If the roof blows off, which we've had quite a few of those scenarios where the roof blows off, and again, after your 365, they'll say, hey, your warranty's up. Now, what are you going to do? And then you go, hey, I'm going to call my insurance company. The insurance company is not going to do anything for you. They're going to say that is a manufacturer's defect. So now you got a virtually brand new coach with a bad roof. Wow. So, and this is the prime component to keep water out of your coach. This is the prime component. But why would they not put a little more effort into this than they do the drapery, the wallpaper, and the countertops and all that? Why would you not put a better roof on it, right? So just keep all that in mind. We're checking this out right here. That was that plumbing that I was telling you about, where they carved out the duct line, and that tape has been compromised. You can actually see it right there on the bottom side of it, and then also around the top. It's all loose. See if we can. It's all loose in there. You had a lot of air coming up through here. That tape isn't even sticking. You can just see how that's just peeling right up. Wow. We're going to use some better tape. That's just some cheap stuff. Whatever it takes for them to do it quick and easy and get it out the door. Get it built, get it out, get it sold. You'd never catch this with a spray roof. Look at all those holes. Even the bottom is all carved out.
Why is the wire wrapped around the pipe?
I don't know. I don't know why they got wrapped around there.
Whose genius idea was that?
Maybe they were worried about it dropping down while they were working on it or something. That's not uncommon. I've seen them tie them around the little truss supports here. Alright, we're going to get that fixed. This is the piece. It's a 1.5 inch pipe, and look how much they took out of there for a 1.5 inch pipe. This is 7 inches by, let's see what we got here, 4 inches for a 1.5 inch pipe. That is crazy. So we were going to try and tape all this, but we're going to make it a little closer and tighter so you get more airflow. I'm going to make a new duct. That's all. We're going to put it. It just wasn't worth trying to tape up all this crap. So I'll give it. This is our new duct. So I fixed the hole here. Put another piece of foam on top. Obviously taped it all in. And then we've got these couplers here. So what that's going to do is when we go to join the two, when we tape it, one isn't kind of falling. It keeps them all aligned. So I got those in there. And then all this is obviously all taped up. So that's going to be a lot better than what they had for sure. So that's how we'll put that back in. So then the other thing we did was just wad up some tape and put it on here so it doesn't scrub the holes in when it's traveling, like we saw on the other couple back there. Alrighty, so we got a couple of sheets down, and then we put all this back in. Really doesn't do anything, but you can see we've already got it glued, and we got it all fastened. We don't use screws on this. If you use a lot, I'd rather put a lot of staples and a lot of screws. Staples hold really well, especially when you get one designed for sheathing. And that's what we did. So all my guns are, they're designed for sheathing. You're going to rip the plywood apart before you get that staple out. And then obviously when we glue it, so it's going to be tight, that's for sure. You start running a bunch of screws in there, which you probably want to have quite a few screws in there, to get the strength you're looking for. But you risk, look how thin these are. And this is just a piece of pine. So what would happen is you would just split it. You can tell this one's already barked over on this side. So, but that's why we do it that way. Like I said, put all this back. So we're going to get this redecked, and then we can get, we're going to put some edging on the corner here to protect that. And then we get the roof on. Awesome. We're moving along. So I already showed that we got the ductwork fixed over there, and the other one that was breached. And then we went around and checked everything else to make sure we were all satisfied. Then we vacuumed it out, so put the insulation back, as you can see, and then put this foil back on. So alrighty, we are ready to go. Soak it up. This is what we call stitching it in. A lot of staples. Alright, we get the decking all squared away. So you notice that radiant barrier, we tucked it down. The purpose of that is to reflect UV light. Alright, but as I told you on there, you have to have an air barrier, right? You have to have a gap, an air gap. You can't just put it down like that, put plywood on it, and then underneath it's insulation. It doesn't work that way. So what I did, I'm going to see if I can show you on here, see if I got it. Say, to avoid the worst case scenarios, right here, of sandwiching the barrier between two products like roof sheathing insulation or drywall foam insulation, it's crucial to maintain at least one air gap. I'm trying to look in the camera to make sure I'm getting all that for you. So you can read of how to install things, but a lot of times, and I got this one off of, this is Equal right here, that's what that is. So a lot of times people get products and they just put them to work. They just put them to work. They don't perform the way they want them to perform, or they may even think they're performing the way, because I bought that, that's great. If you don't put it on the way the manufacturer had intended its use after it was tested, then it was worthless. And again, so what we did is I just pushed that down inside there. So I recessed it, which is, again, that's the way you're supposed to do it. You can do it either way. You can recess it down into the trusses like I did, so now it's not up against here, all right? Or you can make another air gap, but you have to have that, an air gap in between there. You just can't sandwich it between products. It's not effective that way. So again, that's what we did on here, but I wanted to show that because I know someone's going to put it in the comments, oh man, I've used this and I've done that. I'm going by what the manufacturer says. So they designed it, they made it, they tested it, they went through all of this stuff, so obviously they know how it works, and they even took the time to put all those instructions in there to make sure that you understand how it goes together for maximum performance. So you can go check it all out yourself and read it. But before I go ahead and do anything at all on any products that I may be interested in, or you can go and look at a tech data sheet. Tech data sheet will tell you, for instance, caulkings. That's the biggest one right there, because everybody go to the store, pick up a tube of caulking, and when they pick up a tube of caulking, they go, hey, I'm going to use this, I'm going to use that. Well, there's a tech data sheet says what it was designed for and what it was tested to do, and it will also tell you what it should not be used on and the parameters of that product. Again, going with caulking. So a lot of people go, silicone always seems to come out of everybody's mouth. Silicone this, silicone that, silicone this. Silicone is the worst thing you can put on your coach. I'm just telling you. I know a lot about silicones, and I know they use silicones in commercial applications, but the stuff you're buying at Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, that's not quality stuff. I'm not talking about the stuff they use in skyscrapers. I'm not talking about that. That's a different type of performance. And even the silicones I use are high performance silicones. They're nothing like you're going to buy off the shelf. So that's why I don't even discuss it, because it's kind of a fickle animal. But don't use it on your coach. Don't use it on your roof. Don't use it on your siding. Don't use it anywhere. You know, you got better choices. Lexel is pretty good if you're going to pick it up off the shelf. That would be another go-to that would lean with. Is Quad isn't bad, like a urethane, or even some terpolymers like Geocell. Geocell is a good product too, but I don't think you can pick that up off the shelf. So anyhow, I just wanted to clarify the radiant barrier, because like I said, I know I get them all the time, and just guys that have been in the business supposedly for a long time don't take the time to understand and read certain applications of what things can do. So I'll even give you another example on adhesives like we used on here. That's a wood to wood deal. We got that all squared away. And some people go, hey, I'm going to use liquid nails and I'm going to glue this foam together. Well, it has VOCs in it, and VOCs is going to eat your foam. Okay, so now it's not going to stick because it ate it. It literally disintegrated. It's got VOCs in it and it distillates. So that's not a proper application. Oh, and then you may use it on another foam and you go, hey, it worked on this foam, so it must work on all foams. Well, there's different foams. You've got EPS, ethyl polystyrene, and then you have isocyanate. There's different foams. Some are open cell, some are closed cell. So what I'm getting at with all this rant that I'm going on about is just read. Just read before you do. Learn before you spend. That's the whole idea. That's why I show these videos and I do all these coaches, because I want people to learn. So I showed a video on my Facebook channel. There's a little clip, and we were working on this one, and the ductwork was broken in this. I already showed you on here, but I figured I'd take that little bit, post it on Facebook. And this guy says, oh, you're crazy to tear off all that decking and do all that. But how are you going to fix that? That was my point. How are you going to fix it after the fact? You have the roof down. How are you going to fix it? You know, you want to do all this now, because these campers are not put together well. Take this stuff up. It's in here for a roof. Get this all out, open it, get rid of it. This is 1/2-inch decking, by the way. This is BC grade. So the other that we took off was 3/8. And it didn't look all so bad. But, well, again, like I said, we'll say we spray this roof. We sprayed it. Well, now he's got 2 major breaks in his air conditioning system. How are you going to fix that? And if you do get it fixed, how is it going to look? Is it going to look like you fixed it? Like, hey, someone, you want to sell the coach, someone comes in, and hey, what happened there? Oh, well, you wouldn't believe I had a breach on the duct line, and they're going to be looking at it going, wow, that looks like a hot mess, or it looks like it's been patched in. You don't want to do all that. You want to make it look like you were never there. So, all right, so now the next step that we're going to do, I got strips going across where all the joints are. I'm going to put them on there, and then I got that flashing that I'm going to put around here that'll protect the edge, and I'm going to put another one on the back. We're also going to be putting a gutter on here. So we're going to start getting things together. So now we're just sanding down some high spots. That's where that double truss was, and one was sitting up a little higher than the other, so we're just kind of making marry it together. So it looks good. He's going to check them all, make sure they all seat nice. All right, we got all the edge banding on. We got it all on there. We just put this on there just to protect that little bit. But if you remember that big gaping hole they had up there when they made this joint, look at that, all nice and tight. That looks good. That'll seat well. So that's all we got here. So we're probably going to put this on in 3 pieces. That's the plan. So now what we're doing is getting ready to put our strips down. They're right here. We're going to put them down over the joints right here. Look at that thing coming right up. It's not even stuck. You can see the sheen of the siding. Wow, there's your leaks. That's how they start. Look at there, you can even see the shape. It went down. All right, so we've got driver's side. That's already glued. You can see all the sheen. That's all the adhesive. This is a contact cement. We do both sides. So we're going to get this rolled over, and then we're going to do this one in 2 sections. We're going to have to do that top, way on the top where I showed you before, where it drops down. So I think we're going to get this one pretty good. What'll help on this one is we've got really a what I call low shoulder here. When it rolls over, it's only like 3/4 of an inch. So we should be good with that. If it was much bigger than that, we probably would have to do 3 pieces on this. So so far so good. But if not, we'll put a bird's mouth in it or whatever and re-weld it or something. But let's get this rolled over. You can see we got all our protective strips in there, all the metal. I think I already went over all that. Everything was already glued down, fastened down. So we're getting ready to just get this rolled. So now we just roll it out with that big heavy roller.
Isn't that the big heavy roller?
That's the big heavy roller.
Oh, yeah, okay.
See, they don't do this at the RV place. All they do is just kick it out and just walk all over it. Well, we take the time to go over it with the roller, make sure that son of a gun is down there. Gives it great bond. Dude, like, you're not going to pull that up. If we had to pull that up, it ain't coming up. It isn't. You'd have to slice it all up in little pieces to try to get this thing up. All right, so what we got going on, roof is down. Now we're stapling it all down, pull it real tight, get it all down there. And then what this is, inside here, there's a piece of ductwork that runs over here. We're gonna drill that out later. There's a piece of ductwork in there. And then we're going to put a fan on here. So you're going to have a solar fan that's going to kick on, because when you put this inner shell in here, the inner lens, and you put the other lens on it, there's a cavity in there that has no ventilation. So when the skylight lens is sitting on there, especially on a cold day, it's going to get some frost on it. But it's not only on the top part of it, it's actually on the underside of it. So now the sun comes up, it'll evaporate what's on the top, but what's up underneath doesn't get evaporated, it tends to drool. So it'll just drool down, and this is what's known as, it's commonly known as dry rot, because it's really not a leak, it's just an act of physics, right? Chemistry. So that'll drool down, and it could possibly get into the curb. And then you could either, you know, all that could either get in the curb or get into the roof deck, or it could get into the ceiling. So I boxed this all off because what I did with the curb is it's all protected. So any water, if the skylight fractures for whatever reason, something hits it, nobody notices it. And it may not be a big crack, it just may be a crack, right? It still could possibly leak, and I don't want it to leak into the roof deck. And so I designed this so the water would come down, hit that inner lens, and this returns back inside. It'll hit that inner lens and it'll start dripping down into the shower. So somebody would notice it and go, hey, why we got water in the shower? Well, they get up on the roof, they see a cracked lens, right? So this one over here is the draw. So there'll be another one here, and it'll look like a plumbing pipe, and it'll pull the air, the fan over here, when it kicks on, it'll pull it up, run it back down, and exhaust it out. Since it's solar, it'll keep running, so you don't have to worry about a switch. But it's just a good way to keep all that moisture out of this channel, this bay, this air pocket, right? So that's what that's all about. So, all right, and then like I said, I already explained that. So other than that, we've got our holes cut. We're gonna get our curbs on there. Once we have the curbs on, they all get welded. We've got all our mucks or our gutter line. So, all right, we're trying to pull our jayco together. It's getting there. So then we're trying to get the trim in and everything. You see, every one of these screws, every one of them has caulking around them. We make a grommet out of it. That's important. But look at here. Look at it. This is silicone right here. So that screw's rusted out. That screw's rusted out. All of it is. You can see it's all loose. So we're going to take it off and remount that. All right, we are done with our jayco. So we got our stamp on the back. We put that on there so we can monitor the roof when it comes back for inspections if there's any issues. You know, we like to see how it performs. The other plus side to that is this camper ever gets sold, then you know these roofs are notorious for leaking on your average RV roof. And at least now we can say, hey, I just had it put on May of 24 and it's still under warranty. So anyhow, so that's one of the reasons why we put that on there. So we've got, obviously everything is all together. We've got everything all heat welded together. And one of the other things that we did, these ladders, when you start stepping on the rungs, this little support right here, it'll start bowing down. I'm sure y'all noticed that. So what I did was, wait, see if I can get a zoom up on this thing. See how I put a little support down there? So I just riveted right to the bumper, so it's not going to interfere with the stink pipe. But now all that weight, instead of being on those supports, it's going down, sitting on that bumper. So it's not going to bounce like that. So everything on here is all heat welded. There's a commercial grade TPO. It's a 60 mil. That's the thickness. These roofs are on a commercial level. They come out at 45. So we upgraded it even one more to a 60. That gives the 20-year warranty. So the way the warranty works, we ideally would like to see it come back in about 60 days, and then we do an initial inspection. But you got to come back annually for us to inspect the roof. So every year you come back in for an annual inspection, we renew it for another year. So we show folks how to do an inspection. We show all that, how to go over it. We leave you with a care package. We do all that for you. And this way, if you have a tree branch hit it, you can, while you're out, obviously out camping or wherever, it doesn't matter, you can get up and do a repair real quick, even in the rain. So we'll leave you with all that stuff. So all of these are all heat welded in. There's all heat welded. Then we got a special pourable sealer inside there. So these stay flexible all the time. Even if this thing does move a little bit back and forth, it won't leak. So on this air conditioner is a little different from the one on the front. This one just mounts right to the ceiling. And I've seen a lot of these things up on different forums and so forth. the way they bolted this one, they just threw lag bolts right down into the roof deck. After a while, that gets wallered out, and then the air conditioner isn't on proper, it's not seated proper, it's going to leak and potentially fall off or blow off. It could. You hit a bump and then it just jerks right out of there. So I don't like that system. So what we did is I put these mounts in here. That's some threaded rod that I got in these boots right here. That little piece is called a boot. That's a threaded rod. And you can see we got a nut right there, and that's a lock nut as well. So, and there's also a nut, should be, I believe there's a, yeah, there's a lock washer and everything on there. So all of that is what's going to keep it secure. So now a tech comes and has to follow behind us to service this air conditioner. He doesn't have to keep undoing and everything. Slide it back up, put it on there. It's going to be fine. Torque it back down. So what we do on all of the air conditioners is once I build all these curbs, everything we do, I custom make every single piece. The boots, curbs, everything. So one of the concerns that I have is up underneath the air conditioners, there's just a foam gasket. So those foam gaskets are kind of vulnerable. So that said, you don't really want to get debris up in there. A lot of reasons you have some of these leaks is because the air conditioner gasket is being subjected to pollen, dirt, debris that gets up inside there on the front as it's blowing down, right, or even around. But it will start to dry out that gasket. And then when it dries out, then obviously it's not sealing right, you get leaks, but you won't know about it. You won't know about it until you start seeing leaks, and by that time it's already soaked through everything. So I don't want that to happen, of course, and it's going to be real hard. It's not going to happen on this, but my point is that when you come down here with the water, when it comes down, that front piece is called a piece of counterflash, and I build counterflash on the curb. That's another form of a counterflash. So there's a counterflash on the curb itself, and then this piece goes over the one that I built, and it pushes it down lower so the water will wash out. So that's the purpose of this one in the front. So if anybody ever services these air conditioners, that needs to go back on, and also these stands. Those stands just give it some balance. That's what that does. So on the edge here, we've got 2 strikes of caulking all the way down. I always put 2 strikes on there because I figure, if you've ever operated a caulking gun, you start squeezing it, you'll hear it pop and crackle. And when you hear it pop and crackle, then you injected an air bubble. So what are the chances of having one air pocket land on top of another one when you do a second strike? So that's why we do the 2 strikes. I changed the insert trim as well. And then these are the way I do the vent pipes. Now this isn't really a vent pipe for your plumbing. I'll explain that in a second. But we got all this sealed, and then this is just going to go on top of it. We're going to put a piece of foam in here, so the foam will sit there on top, so this way the bees can't get up inside and get in there. So I think I showed it earlier how we had that duct that went in there to circulate the air, and it went over there. I believe I showed it, and I showed how I wrapped the whole inside of this thing. So these are just going to pop on just like that. We'll probably cut this a little, we'll probably cut it a little lower, and then same with those. So we'll get all that done. But all of this is all heat welded, every bit of it, so you don't have any more of that self-leveling. That is unnecessary. This is not how you do a flat roof. Doesn't function that way. You don't have to keep putting that on there. But the RV industry has been exploiting people's ignorance to roof systems for a long, long time. And they put these roofs on real shoddy, and then they say, hey, oh, you got to go back and do some more self-leveling. Yeah, you got to do that every few times a year. They have a flat roof or a low slope roof on their building. Do you think they're paying somebody to go up there every few months? Do you think they're calling a roofing company every few months to say, hey, get up there and resale that roof again every few, whatever, three times a year? Of course not. It's cost prohibitive. The reason they do it is because it's their cash cow. It is this self-leveling, all these conditioning products that they want you to put on here, and all that coatings. You add all that up, it literally comes up to probably about $500 million a year in product sales. That is crazy amount of money. So of course they're going to tell you, keep frosting it over with self-leveling. It's a cash cow. So we don't do that. My customers don't have to do anything to these roofs. Bring it in, we'll do the annual inspection, wash it twice a year. That's it. But we do all your annual inspections for free. So the lenses are not screwed down. You can see there's no screws in here at all. We glue it, solely glue the whole thing down, and it's done. these lenses tend to expand and contract a lot, and the issue you'll have is when it expands and you have a screw in there, now it's pushing against the screw, and then a thunderstorm comes by and that cold rain hits the lens, it's going to contract, and then it'll be pulling against those screws. So you get that push-pull effect. So that's why you get all those little fractures that come up. So this is that solar fan that I told you about earlier when I was showing you the inside. So this, when the sun comes up, I was explaining in the colder weathers especially, you'll have some frost or dew on top of this lens. And when you have frost or dew on top of it, you actually have it on the inside of this lens, on the inside. So the sun comes up, evaporates that off, but what's inside doesn't get evaporated. What happens is it drools down, and it's just condensation. And then it starts getting into the plywood, it starts getting into the roof deck, the framing, and so forth. And that's what's known as dry rot. So there's no air, there's just that space in there, but there's no airflow. So the purpose of that is when the sun comes up, that's going to kick on. That's a solar fan. So you don't have to babysit this. So the air will come from here, it'll go down through that duct that I showed you we made, it'll come up over the inner lens, and then it'll get exhausted out, and it'll just keep that cycle going, keep that air going through it. So this is the counter flash that I was talking about on the air conditioner back there. That's what that is. So the counter flash on the air conditioner comes below here, and then it goes out that way. So, and I custom make all of these here. You see we did the same thing for this unit. You can see the counter flash up in the front. You can see we got the two stands in the back. Same principle. So, and then we also obviously got something mounted for that antenna right there. So that's our system. This is a commercial grade roof. You're done. You don't have to do anything more to it. This is the same exact roof. You can go online and do a search for commercial roof images. And when you do a search for commercial roof images, you're going to see the air conditioners, you're going to see these skylights, these vents, exhaust motors, or excuse me, exhaust blowers, things like that. You're going to see them up on a curb. So I designed this whole system to form and function for an RV. That's what I did. So once we get all this done, then the other thing we do, I'm trying to see if this there it goes, it focuses in. The other thing I want to do is I want to check, make sure all the tape, that's why we open these up. They were opened a little bit, but it was kind of far away and I had them just bring it in a little bit, but you can see. So you want to make sure all this is taped, you want to make sure all that is all solid, you know, meaning watertight, right? If you got any flaky tape or anything right there, you need to attend to that. We don't, when we do slide out roofs, we do not put membrane down, we use metal, but he didn't need any roofs, so we don't have that in the work order. But if he does, we'll replace this with metal. And then you don't have any of this tape, you don't have any of that nonsense. I remove all that. The other issue I don't like about the way they do these slides is when it is open, the water will come and hit here. Then it'll also hit that rail right there, that drive rail. So water will come down and hit here and it'll trickle back into the coach. And a lot of people get leaks like that. These are sweep gaskets, these keep out the heavier stuff, but they're not gonna keep out every little bit of water. I mean, you can probably understand that. It's not a tight seal. It's just mainly you keep the brunt of it out. So when water, even a little droplets of moisture can roll back off of these rails that are coming in. So by us doing metal, we remove that. And the metal will come on down, the water can flow properly. So, and the same thing with this other one right here. So then this here we replaced, because it was pretty much falling off. So we replaced it and resealed it. And that's about our system. So the roof system itself, like I said, it is a commercial grade. There's all our information. This is a commercial grade TPO, which means thermoplastic. That's what it means, thermoplastic olefin. And these are the three colors we have, obviously this being the gray. It's a 60 mil, that's the thickness of it. And I don't know if you can see on there those little squares. There's a mesh built into it, and that mesh helps resist against tree branches, hail, things like that. Super strong system, super strong roof. If you did get a whole, a tree branch does go through this thing, we leave you with a patch kit. So now you patch it up, and then once you patch it up, call us up. Hey, I had something hit the roof, and bring it in. We'll do a hot patch for you. So it's not a big deal. You can weld right to it. So other than that, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up so other people can find it. And or share it. You're welcome to share it on some of your social media, whichever, like Facebook. We do have a Facebook page now. We hadn't had one for years. but I do have one on there, and you can watch some of the other videos as well and comment on there. But you can do the same thing on YouTube, so like you're watching probably right now. So otherwise, I think I covered everything. So we appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you on the next one. So in our care package, we have caulking, we got primer, we have got 2 patches. Those are heat patches. We got a patch, peel and stick patch. We got a checker tool. We've got a magnet. And the rest of this is just pens, keychains, brush, nozzle. Okay, so if we have a hole in the roof, and we'll simulate a hole. You can do hole simulations. We say we got a hole there. Here's your tree branch come through, and you're like, oh man, I got a hole in my roof. It's leaking. So what you want to do? And it's raining out. Right now it's raining. You're like, crap, I gotta stop that leak. You want to get in there, and if you can't get that nozzle in there, don't worry about it. Make it a little bigger. What you're trying to do, you need to get up underneath the roofing. Like this. This is what we need to do. Get up underneath the roofing. Then you're going to take and you're going to put this up inside there, and you're going to squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hopefully this thing is plugged up. There it goes. Just squeeze, squeeze. You're going to try and get up underneath this part too. Squeeze up underneath there. Put some more underneath there. Well, we are getting this thing all boogered up. Then what we're going to do, you're going to push it together. See how it oozes out? That's sealed. You're done. This is a moisture cured product. So what? It's a hot mess. Looks terrible. Who cares? Keep the water out. So now, the next day, we're going to go up there, and that's going to be cured looking like that. So we're going to take a knife, and you just shave it down. Just shave it down with a knife. I'm just going to obviously wipe this off. Now you say, hey, I want something a little better than that. So what we're going to do is get some cleaner. This is a terrible rag. You got another one. You got one on you? No. Oh, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag. Hey, what are you doing? What are you going to talk about, man? Nope, just leave it alone. Oh, leave it alone right now. We're recording now? Are we on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alright, so now we cleaned it off with a knife. I just washed that off because it's still wet. Take that off. So now we got a patch. This is a peel and stick patch. We're going to take that, we're going to center it over there. Just take a pen and go around like this. I like to kind of put a dash like that so I know who's where, what, and where, and how. So now there's what I got. So in the package we got primer. We also have a brush. We're going to take that, you're going to go all inside the square. You're also going to go outside this square about 3/8 of an inch. Outside about 3/8 of an inch or so. Once you get that, there's a film on the back. You peel the film, now you know which side you are, see, because there's your marks. And you peel that film back. Get the fingers, fat fingers in there to get the film off of this thing. This is just a regular roof tape. That's all it is. We put them in all the care packages. Get that daggum thing off of there. Probably use some fingernails. Probably help. Come on. There it is. Okay. There it is. Now you got the film. You take that film. So now we're going to line it back up with this. We already got the primer under there. You just peel the film back, and as you do, you just rub it down like this. Sometimes that film will get a little stuck in there. This is just a butyl. You just kind of try to keep it as even as you can and flat as you can. Boom, you're done. There it is. So now, out here, this is where your primer is. You put the primer on there. You got primer there, and now you're going to put primer here. You want to prime all this area with your brush. Prime all that. Then you're going to come back. Once you get it all primed, then you're going to put a little bit of caulking on it, just like this. That simple. It doesn't all sit in there. You can always take your finger and go around it if you want. We're trying to obviously stop a leak and make one of, there's going to be a little more permanent of a patch than just that plug that we did when it was raining. So now that we get that all done, the whole purpose of it is this part here, this part underneath here, that's a butyl. When the sun hits that, if you didn't have the caulking on there, it will cause it to release and curl up just like I'm doing here. And it'll start coming loose. That's why you need the primer. That's why when you prime it, you're going to prime on top of this, because nothing will stick to it. Nothing, the caulking will not stick to this patch, and it won't stick to the roof unless you use the primer. That's how you do a patch. Ta-da! All done.